feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions, each new update, that shit worsens. Why? Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, so do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
That's it, the end of the song. Next time you'll sing along. Trust me, there's nothing wrong. I just need to carry on, cause society's a myth put there to make you sit. Listen to what they give. Don't ask questions, shut your lid. Yeah, don't ask questions, shut your lid. I need to run away from this and go get off the grid. Feel like my brain is overloaded, man, I'm losing it. Don't let them tell you what to do, man, they don't know shit. Let's go.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.
Yeah. You ain't see me activated. You better hope that you never see me agitated. I think about my actions, plan them out, evaluated. That's how I end up on the top, man, I'm calculated. My mind's a weapon, my body is the engine. I'm never second guessing, I just do what I was destined. Cause I feel I got the blessing, persistence and obsession. That's how you keep progressing, I already learned that lesson, yeah.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back
change in your brain, I'm certain. I've done it before and man, I'm not perfect.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life. I won't look back ever again. You can't stop what's moving. You can't stop what's moving. I'm changing my life and I won't look back ever again.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all set. I'm IWN. This is your Forensic Files 2, American Monsters and Signs of a Psychopath. Watch along for July the 16th, 2023. I'm your host of this thing. So if you're new to the channel, hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications, man. I notice a lot of people haven't been joining my live streams. That's because you haven't been turning on the notifications. Maybe if you start turning on the notifications, maybe people start turning on notifications. Maybe I'll have a lot more people in here than I usually have. But unfortunately, people don't turn on the notifications enough because either they're not paying attention, they're not watching, or they just don't care. They just don't give a fuck. It's one of the two. Trust me. Trust me. I know already. There we go. Had to adjust the fucking camera because it was covering up my other webcam that's on top of my laptop. I hope everybody is enjoying their Sunday evening. I'm trying to ignore some of the DMs I'm getting, including the one about the money. Like, Madison, girl, chill out. You're going to get your fucking money. It's not going anywhere. Okay? It's not that fucking serious. She acting like somebody's going to fucking go in my damn PayPal account and take my fucking money. Knowing damn well she don't realize that my PayPal account is secured and protected. So nobody can log into it. So she needs to calm down, take a fucking chill pill, and if she's arguing, she needs to shut the fuck up and chill out. And relax. The money will come to her whenever the fucking 24-hour delayed transfer ends. And if it does it again, then you know what? Something is definitely clearly wrong with PayPal. PayPal and Cash App have both been acting up. No question about it. So I hope I'm not the only one that's having problems with PayPal and Cash App. I hope other people come forward and tell me that they're having problems as well. Anyhow, so the first thing we're going to be watching on Investigate Discovery on DirecTV is Forensic Files 2. I have it paused. I'm like 5 minutes behind already because it's already on. It's probably on commercial break right now. So yes, we're going to be watching Forensic Files 2. We're going to watch episode 3 first. So it's titled Lil Miss Murder. So it's about this 18-year-old woman, 8 days after she had disappeared on her way to a family ski trip. The 18-year-old woman's partly nude body was found floating in a fucking river. Man, I cannot imagine seeing a 18-year-old woman's nude body floating in the fucking river. As disturbing as that fucking sounds. My God, it doesn't get any worse than that. So it was found somewhere in Wyoming or something. Wyoming, I don't know what that fucking city is. I've never heard of it. But years later, DNA technology uncovers dark secrets that led to her demise. I'm interested to find out these dark secrets. I'm interested to know what they were. So before we go ahead and dive deeper into episode 3, watch it and see what these dark secrets are, I'm gonna bounce out this room for a minute and go get a drink. So I will be right back. I'll be right back. Sometimes you got to slam the fucking door when it doesn't shut when the air is on. I'm sorry. They need to be fucking fixed, man. They're too old. All right. Here we go, man. We're going to dive deeper. We're going to watch and dive deeper into episode 3 and find out what the dark secrets were that led to this 18-year-old young woman's death. So here we go.
I just was so frustrated over that.
A cryptic note on a gravestone, a tip from a concerned neighbor. A new piece of technology finally solved the mystery of what happened to this young woman.
First up is Forensic Files 2. That's what we're watching right now.
1988 approached.
This is episode 3.
Lisa Kimmel was getting ready for a long-planned ski trip with her family, most of whom lived in Billings, Montana. Lisa
You're welcome
lived in
to
Denver, Colorado,
communicate with me in the live chat anytime. As long as your comments in the live chats are respectful and nice and not negative. Positive vibes only, all right?
Lisa was coming home, and she was going to stop in Cody to pick up Ed to bring him home to introduce him to the family. So that would have been our first meeting.
The drive of some 600 miles promised to be a bit of a slog, but Lisa had many reasons to look forward to this trip. One was her new Honda CRX sports car.
Lisa was very proud of the CRX that she bought it with her own money, and Lisa really put her mind to saving money and making sure that she could do it with her.
That's a sporty little black car, and she had Montana personalized plates, Lil Miss, LILMISS.
I believe it was.
Again, I hope everybody's having a good, lovely Sunday evening. It looks very nice out here. The sunset looks okay.
It was shaping up.
Look, sunset looks somewhat all right.
For the Kimmel family. That is, until Lisa failed to arrive at her boyfriend's apartment in Wyoming.
Now that is where she went missing.
From there, I know that there was a whirlwind of everything.
Lisa's family feared she had a car accident, and since she was driving through some of the most remote, unpopulated terrain in the country, she could be injured but still not seen by anyone.
They immediately contacted law enforcement. They did everything they could to look up to and including getting a plane and flying the route to see if they could see perhaps a car was, off in a ditch or something like that.
Lisa's family immediately drove the route she told them she'd be driving and found no sign of an accident or of Lisa.
It was a very remote area. There's nothing out there. I mean, it's just like surface of the moon, for lack of a better description.
I don't know how to really explain it, the fear and the panic you have in your heart knowing something's wrong.
State law enforcement in Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana were notified of Lisa's disappearance and quickly got a break. On the same night Lisa left, she got a speeding ticket.
Wyoming Highway Patrol pulled her over around 9 p.m. for, I believe it was doing 88.
Why they pulled her over?
55. And that was the last time that Lisa was seen alive.
8 days after Lisa went missing, a fisherman on the North Platte River in Natrona County, Wyoming, found her body.
Oh,
Discovered it unclothed except for her underwear.
it was discovered floating in the river, like I was telling y'all.
She suffered blunt force head trauma, but ultimately died.
I would have said in the guide on the Red TV.
They told us that she was not alive. She was buried.
That's gotta be bad for her family, man.
I'm sure our screams could be heard a mile away.
I think that's her mother talking.
I don't remember eating. I don't remember sleeping. I don't remember.
Oh, not
moving.
good.
I don't remember any of that stuff.
I couldn't sleep last night.
The news for the Kimmel family
And the night
could
before.
possibly get worse. And then the autopsy revealed exactly what happened to Lisa.
I'm fast forwarding it so that way we won't be behind the other episode. Y'all hit the like button on the stream. Let's get more people in here. Let's get some people in here, man. I know some of you watch ID, man. I know I'm not the only one that watches this stuff. I don't watch the news because there's too much negativity.
There's been melting snow and things like that. So we knew that the body had been in the water long enough that it became the equipoise. That is, it was the same internal temperature as the water itself. So that would suggest some period of time.
Investigators found blood on a bridge about a quarter mile upstream from where Lisa's body was found.
She was picked up and thrown over the top of the railing. And that blood evidence matched up with her blood type.
Lisa's autopsy revealed more disturbing information.
The bruising around Lisa's wrists and ankles suggested that she was bound for a period of time.
She'd been raped
Golly.
multiple times, according to
You
medical
fucking
findings.
for real?
They were able to recover semen, which
Oh, you heard that? They was able to recover semen.
The autopsy also revealed a pattern of oddly positioned wounds around the ultimately fatal stab wound to her heart.
Lisa sustained stab wounds to the chest. There were 6 stab wounds. 5 were placed in a circular pattern between the ribs.
Those stab wounds on her chest would form a pentagram. Yeah, it was intense, so there's no doubt about that.
It was now clear that Lisa's killer spent a lot of time with her before inflicting the fatal heart wound and dumping her body off the bridge.
What the nature of the wounds told us about the killer was that he was methodical and that he obviously wasn't rushed or in a hurry.
This almost always indicates the killer has a private place where he's comfortable and knows he won't be disturbed, which had detectives thinking she might be a victim of the so-called Great Basin serial killer, who is still at large.
When you start looking into other unsolved murders in the area, in the northern part of Wyoming,
Some of them are probably related.
well, maybe he was involved with that one too.
Lisa's boyfriend and the police officer who gave her the speeding ticket both cooperated with the investigation and weren't considered viable suspects. It seemed almost certain Lisa was a random target. A pressing question detectives had to answer was this: why had Lisa's killer made no attempt to hide her body?
Yeah, why?
Apparently going to great lengths to hide her car.
To find the car was to find at first location more evidence, and secondly, a potential tie to the killer. So it became a very big focus of a very long and complicated investigation.
We didn't have the car. You would think you'd be able to find that. We didn't. This car just vanished.
Out of nowhere, out of thin air, it
Though
vanished.
Detectives had saved genetic material from her body. DNA technology and even other technology now routinely used in investigations wasn't widely available at the time.
This is back in 1988. We didn't have
Oh,
social media.
this was
We
1988.
didn't have
I wasn't even born around that time.
And now, frustrated investigators finally got a break.
I wasn't born.
Unique vanity license plate.
Lisa's car was a very distinctive looking car and it had a personalized plate, so we were somewhat optimistic we'd find it.
But soon, investigators got an unexpected surprise. The story of Lisa Kimmel's murder was big news. A lot of people wanted to help, and many of them, some from thousands of miles away, were positive they'd seen her car.
All of a sudden,
Oh, really?
calls and information from every place you can imagine, even as far as Alaska, where people had claimed that they saw the car.
They saw the car? It probably wasn't her driving it. It was probably Killer driving it. We'll find out when it comes back on. I think it was her killer. What do you guys think? Let me know in the live chats. Fast forwarding it again. There it is.
And landscapes stretching hundreds of miles. But the original responsibility for the investigation fell on the sheriff's office.
Hit the thumbs up. Hit thumbs up. Let's get at least 4 or 5 likes on the stream.
And the local sheriff, Ron Ketchum, was adamant. No one else could work the case.
It's hard to understand why somebody would do something like that to another human being.
Sheriff Ketchum was always very protective of this.
Because they're evil. The fuck?
It was important to him.
Yeah, was that answer your question?
Especially within that time, so I believe.
If federal law enforcement was brought in, that would open the door for a lot more manpower, money, and expertise. But for reasons no one could fathom, Sheriff Ketchum insisted that door stay closed.
Sheriff Ketchum was hostile, very much so. When the parents asked if he would consider bringing in either state or federal help, he told them in no uncertain terms that he did not want any outside interference from anybody.
Sheriff Ketchum's behaviors defied common sense. They defied basic training and skill sets. All those things didn't make any sense.
Lisa's parents were so concerned about this that they confronted Sheriff.
Repeatedly, the sheriff threatened Ron with obstruction of justice if he continued to interfere in this fashion.
Then, in what should have been a routine public appearance, Sheriff Ketchum compromised the investigation by speaking openly about the odd wounds around Lisa's heart, information that had been purposely kept secret.
Press were there, they took it all down. So he blew all that right out in the open.
The sheriff's behavior was so out of the ordinary that he himself became a legitimate subject of the investigation.
We asked him if he would submit to a lie detector test. He called me every 4-letter name in the book. Was not going to take any polygraph tests.
Eventually, on the advice of his lawyers, Sheriff Ketchum took the test and passed. Then, about 2 years after Lisa's body was found, there was an incredible development.
Sheriff Ketchum attempted to commit suicide. But got in the hospital, got his stomach pumped, and he was back in business.
So you mean to tell me the sheriff was the one that killed her?
Does he know something about this case that he's...
I think he killed her. He had to.
Attempted suicide has a lot of concern.
Attempted suicide is a red flag.
Not just me, but everyone.
It's a red
At the
flag.
exact same time, there was yet another strange development.
Her dad found a note taped to Lisa's grave in Billings, Montana. And it spoke almost like a juvenile love note, is almost how I would describe it.
The note was signed Stringfellow Hawk, the name of a popular TV character from the mid-1980s. Lisa's grave was some 300 miles from where her body had been dumped. Was the note writer local? Had he traveled from Wyoming?
Maybe it's someone that read about this in the newspaper, although it should have been someone closer to know where her grave site was. But it could have been just a friend. never know.
The case hit a dead end until a clue left with the body, and that note helped expose a suspect.
So it probably wasn't the sheriff. They said the sheriff was acting suspicious. He was acting strange. Yeah, committing a suicide is a red flag. And nobody deserves to do that. You never want to see somebody doing that. You know, if you feel like you're going to do that, you need to call for help. Really. Well, this is going to be one of the longest live streams that I haven't ran in a long time.
And it ultimately changed the course of this investigation.
So it wasn't the sheriff.
At that time, made special efforts to collect extra sample, more swabs, more samples than were provided for in the sexual assault evidence kit. He took almost 2 days with the autopsy.
I strongly urge them to maintain that DNA evidence somewhere, someplace, sometime. Somebody's going to get matched up with that.
12 years after Lisa's murder, samples from her case were sent to Robin Cotton, at the time the lab director at Selma, a DNA lab.
In 1988, it required about 100 times more DNA than we required in 2000 when we analyzed this evidence.
The key breakthrough was something called PCR, or polymerase.
PCR.
PCR is an amazing chemistry. It was invented by Kerry Mullis. He got a Nobel Prize for that invention about 8 years.
And the birds are making so much noise outside. I can hear them.
PCR allowed analysts to take minuscule samples of DNA and copy them, so they had vastly more material to analyze without using up or compromising the original sample, no matter how small.
I'm just going to make millions and millions and millions of copies, which you can do in a couple of hours. And now that you've made those millions of copies, now you have enough mass, that is physical mass, of those molecules to actually test.
In addition to Lisa's DNA profile, a profile from an unknown male was generated and entered into CODIS, the National DNA Database. And in 2002, after 14 years of waiting, detectives finally got the call they've been hoping for. There was a hit on the DNA from Lisa's case.
This was smoking gun DNA. Something you could rely on, not just some jailhouse snitch, but good hard forensic evidence.
The DNA pointed to Dale Eaton, a 57-year-old divorced father of two, who lived about 100 miles from where Lisa's body was found.
Well, that's just our crime. Excuse me, who is that? Such an emotional, overwhelming piece of information that I really was so happy.
Fruit fly, get it out of
I was
here.
so upset that it took this many years to get this guy.
In 1997, Eaton was imprisoned for a crime with eerie similarities to Lisa's case.
He used to roam up and down that area where he lived with his wrecker service that he had. And he'd look for cars that were stalled along the road or whatever, and he'd charge them exorbitant fees for hauling to the next town or whatnot.
One day, he came across a couple and their baby. Their car had broken down on a rural road. Prosecutors say he attempted a sexual advance on the woman. As her husband fought him off, a police officer just happened to drive by.
And that eventually led to his conviction for aggravated assault.
He was given a 99-day prison term and up to 5 years parole, but he violated parole when he was later rearrested on a weapons charge that put him in a federal prison, which
Dang.
is how his DNA got
Guy
into
look like a
the
monster, man.
Since
He ain't got no
juries are
eyebrows.
notoriously unpredictable,
He ain't got no freaking
investigators
eyebrows
worried
at all.
the DNA match wouldn't be enough to ensure a conviction.
You want something else. You want fingerprints. You want some type of admission. You need something else.
As a team of investigators combed Eaton's rural property, analysts turned to the note found on Lisa's grave. The handwriting was compared to Eaton's known handwriting, and by an odd coincidence, this examination fell into the hands of a qualified document examiner already on the case.
I became an expert witness, testified in the 7th Judicial District, and I remember looking at every letter of every word, every sentence, every page.
Similarities were immediately apparent. In both samples, the lowercase r was flat on top, almost like a capital T. The TH combination was almost always looped together, as if it were one letter. And the lowercase e
I should have just left the light
always
on
had a tail coming off the left
instead
side.
of cutting it off.
The conclusion? Dale Eaton almost certainly wrote the note found at Lisa's grave. But one final question, one that dogged investigators from the start, remained to be answered. Where was Lisa's car? A neighbor provided a possible explanation.
This gentleman came across the street. And, you know, it's a funny thing. I remember the case when it happened. And he said just a few days after that, I saw Dale over here digging a big hole with a backhoe.
Investigators came in with a backhoe of their own and unearthed Lisa's car.
It was almost like opening a grave. It really was. Very, very moving and spooky experience.
No one knows how Lisa and Eaton crossed paths. She can't tell, and he has told all sorts of stories. Prosecutors speculate that Lisa may have been at an isolated rest stop. Eaton saw a vulnerable victim and was able to abduct her without being seen.
This guy has a history of abduction. And if he was there, driving by, saw her, it was an easy abduction for him. And you get her back to you.
I don't think they could have solved it without the DNA because the DNA is what led them to him in the first place. He was never a suspect.
In 2004, Dale Eaton
Guy's like a monster. That guy is a monster, man.
Ultimately got life in prison.
And he look like he's in his 70s too.
I'm gonna get this straight, so go ahead and walk in there one last time.
As part of a civil suit, Lisa Kimmel's family was awarded his property and decided to close their daughter's case for good by destroying Eaton's house and the entire scene of the crime.
They burned it and bulldozed it flat.
We decided to cleanse it by fire. So we worked with all the community volunteer firefighters to use it as a training exercise to burn it down. Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah.
So we burnt every inch of it down on our birthday. I didn't want to see it so much as a tire rim out there. And all we could do then was just return it to the prairie dogs and be done with it.
Up next,
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now we're watching episode 4.
a local police
This is episode
officer
4
gets
now.
surprised
Killer Alibi.
Later home invasion turned into 187.
So it says here that the California police are baffled when an innocent man's DNA is found at the scene of a deadly home invasion. Authorities team with the man's defense attorney. It's not often you see innocent people get arrested. But let's watch and find out. Let's watch and find out and see what happens. And see whether they free him from jail or not.
DNA leads straight to potential suspects.
It was right after we got the DNA hit that it kind of all started coming together.
But could DNA, the so-called gold standard of modern forensics, be mistaken?
I think we need to acknowledge that there are limitations to our technology.
For a while, it seems the impossible is possible. But in the end, the science is clear. No one, could be in two places at the same time.
It really was a shock to the system of everybody.
Tech executives from nearby Silicon Valley.
It's an elite community, very wealthy homes, gated community where, you don't enter into a driveway unless you have, permitted access. It's a pretty tight-knit group, neighbors know neighbors.
The town's name translates as Serene Mountain, but on a November night in 2012, it was anything but serene. Around 1:30 a.m., a terrified woman called 911.
Yeah, please send somebody here. Somebody, they have moved. My husband is dead, probably. Somebody killed him. Quickly, please. They tied me and they tied him and everything.
Within minutes, police and paramedics arrived at a 7,000 square foot home in the shadow of the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Stay here, don't move.
Two victims were inside. 66-year-old Raveesh Kumra, also known as Ravi, was dead at the scene.
He was tied up, had tape around his eyes and his mouth, and his hands tied behind his back. There was no blood. There's no, bullet wounds or stab wounds. I was thinking robbery gone bad.
Rani Kumra, Ravi's ex-wife with whom he still lived, was found terrified and blindfolded.
Look, it's okay. It's us. We're the lost data police.
She told police that earlier that night she'd gone to an upstairs bedroom and had left Ravi watching TV in the living room. Later that night, a man burst into her bedroom.
That person forcibly escorted her out of the bedroom and into the kitchen family room area, where she briefly saw Ravi was struggling with a couple of other intruders. She was pleading for them to leave him alone because he had health conditions.
Rani said the attackers stole the jewelry she had on and appeared to be searching the house for other valuables. Ravi Kumra's autopsy lent weight to the theory that the attackers didn't intend to kill him.
The coroner concluded that he had suffocated to death. The duct tape had been wrapped all the way around his face multiple times.
Oh, they didn't intend to kill him?
The duct tape prevented him from being able to
Seemed like it to me.
stay alive.
Almost everyone on the case was familiar with the victim. Ravi Kumra was a classic immigrant success story.
Raveesh Kumra emigrated from India in 1970, and he started working in Silicon Valley and helped found some cellular companies. And then he became an angel investor, funding new companies in Silicon Valley.
He also had an odd habit that might have ultimately led to his death.
He never locked the doors. He was very, very bad about keeping the house locked. He felt that it was a gated estate. They were in a safe community. He didn't feel the need to keep the house locked.
Investigators surmised that if they could find out who knew Ravi Kumra kept his house unlocked, they'd have a straight line to who killed him. Investigators on the Ravi Kumra murder case ultimately determined that some $30,000 in cash and jewelry had been stolen from his home. Since Ravi apparently thought no one would ever target his house in upscale Monte Sereno, he never invested in surveillance cameras. The only witness to the crime was Rani Kumra, and before she was blindfolded, She got a pretty good look at one of the attackers.
He was holding a cell phone, was lit up, like the screen was lit up. And so that had lit his face up a bit, she could see him enough to describe him.
Ronnie helped a forensic artist create this sketch, which was soon released to local media. Another possible break came from the materials this home invasion team left in the house.
They had apparently had an idea as to how to destroy evidence, but it wasn't terribly effective, as it turned out. So there was a significant number of gloves in the sink. The sink had been filled with water had been added. So they were sitting in sudsy water in the sink.
In addition to the gloves was the distinctive-looking duct tape that had been used to bind the victims. As this evidence was processed by lab, detectives got some interesting information about their victim. Raveesh Kumra's marital situation was unusual. Before their very recent and very amicable divorce, he'd been married to Ronnie for more than 35 years. They had 2 adult children, but Raveesh had other children with other women.
The more I dug into the victim's background, I quickly learned that there was a lot of prostitutes in it. There were several women that he had met that he had started families with, purchased homes and cars, and supplied them with money.
Wow.
He wanted to
man.
these women. He wanted to have children. From what we gathered from talking to people that knew him, he was fairly impressed with himself and thought that his genes should carry on, and so he would make arrangements with these women.
Of the women Raveesh consorted with, there was one he seemed particularly fond of.
One of them was a woman named Katrina Fritz, who he had met in 1999. At the time, she was 19.
I was born.
And then continued to have
That's
a
when I was
relationship
born.
with for the next 12 years. Over that period, he'd given her hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gifts, cars, and helped sustain her lifestyle for that period.
Police thought Katrina would have known the house would not be locked. She likely knew where the valuables would be located, but she denied any involvement in the crime. Meanwhile, the attackers had made a big mistake. Soaking the gloves in soapy water did not destroy the DNA. It was also found on the duct tape left at the crime scene. Within days, the state DNA database identified the alleged perpetrators as DeAngelo Austin and Javier Garcia.
They were members of a gang known as Ghost Town. And then there were also members of an offshoot of Ghost Town called the Money Team. And the Money Team had a primary function of doing home invasions on wealthy people, primarily wealthy Asian or Indian people.
Javier Garcia bore a marked resemblance to the composite sketch. In addition, the DNA database turned up a hit to a third alleged perpetrator.
That DNA under the fingernails belonged to Lucas Anderson. And Lucas Anderson's DNA was in the database because years earlier he had been convicted of a home invasion robbery.
The case looked open and shut. The suspects had been convicted of crimes like this in the past, and their DNA put them at the scene of the murder.
And that's the thing, the DNA is not wrong. The DNA is the DNA.
But soon, detectives and forensic analysts got some information that seemed to defy the basic principles of forensic science.
Lucas Anderson had an airtight alibi.
You know, if he had an airtight alibi, that means he's innocent then. Right? We'll find out. We will find I'm
Actors DeAngelo Austin and Javier Garcia.
The cell phone records showed both their cell phones in Monterino during the time frame of the crime, using their cell phone, either sending and receiving text messages, things like that.
A further background check revealed a stunning bit of information. It stemmed from a recent traffic violation by the suspect DeAngelo Austin.
The name on a car that he had gotten a camera ticket with, a red light camera ticket, it was registered to his sister, Katrina Fritz.
Katrina Fritz was a sex worker that Raveesh Kumra had a relationship with for 12 years.
Investigators felt that Katrina would have known Raveesh Kumra always kept his house open and allegedly told her brother. All the suspects, Katrina Fritz, DeAngelo Austin, Javier Garcia, and Lucas Anderson, were taken into custody and faced charges of capital murder. The evidence made sense, except for one thing. The third man, 26-year-old Lucas Anderson, a homeless man with apparent mental health issues, had no known link to the other suspects.
All of us had the idea that, well, if your DNA is there, you must have been there. And so I think even Lucas, who was very staunch from the beginning that I did not do this, I wasn't there, even started to question himself.
Lucas Anderson, his arrest in the Raveesh Kumra murder was just the latest in a series of calamities.
Lucas kind of has the deck stacked against him from birth. He was raised by a single mom who was unhoused. He developed a substance abuse issue with alcohol, and he had some head injuries. At one point, he was drunk and he stepped off the curb and got hit by a truck. And ever since then, his memory wasn't so great.
But DNA not only put Lucas at the scene, it was under the victim's fingernails, which meant some very close contact. Investigators confronted Lucas with this evidence.
This is why you're here. Your DNA is found in our crime scene on our victim. Starting to ring some bells. I don't know if you got it. I don't have a crystal ball to know what truth is. Only you do. And in all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen anything like this in mom.
Lucas, who was all too aware of his memory issues, actually began to doubt his own story.
DNA evidence carries so much weight that he says, oh my God, maybe I did do it. You know, I black out sometimes. I get so drunk. I mean, it doesn't seem like something that I would do. I don't remember it, but my memory's not very good.
If Lucas colluded with the other suspects, there had to be a connection between them. But try as they might, detectives couldn't find one.
This was a pretty sophisticated gang home invasion. Lucas is not the kind of guy you want to take with you to go do some kind of sophisticated crime.
His public defender, now a Superior Court judge, set about tracking his whereabouts on the day and night of the Kumra murder. Not exactly easy when dealing with a homeless alcoholic. Luckily, Lucas didn't normally stray from a 12-block area in San Jose, about 10 miles from the murder site. And he had friends there.
They looked after him. They showed me he would sleep, where he would panhandle. They knew him backwards and forwards. They were very close friends to him.
And what these people showed Lucas's legal team upended the case against him, despite the DNA match.
My first reaction in my head, of course, was, holy crap. How did I miss that?
Let's go.
So good.
Max, start at $9.99 a month. When migraine strikes, you're faced with a choice. Ride it out with the trade-offs of treating, or push through the pain and symptoms. With Ubrelvy, there's another option. One dose works fast to eliminate migraine pain. Treat it anytime, anywhere, without worrying where you are or if it's too late. Do not take the strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Allergic reactions to Ubrelvy can happen. Most common side effects were nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Ask about Ubrelvy. Learn how AbbVie can help you save. pictures. Cleaning your dog's teeth can be hard. But not with Greenie's dental treats. Greenie's, make health a treat.
Your best defense against erosion and cavities is enamel. Nothing beats it. New Pro Enamel Active Shield actively shields the enamel to defend against erosion and cavities. I think that this product is a game changer for my patients. It really works.
Doug, what do we always say, son? Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
They only pay for what you need.
That's my boy. And you get out there and you make us proud, huh?
Bye, Uncle Remus.
Stay off the freeways. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Have you heard about this Samsung chip phone? You only have to look at it once. And then it gets like stuck inside your mind or something. And the only way to stop that is to switch.
That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no way I'd ever switch.
Leave. Now.
I have to report a murder.
She just switched so fast.
It was a scene out of a horror film.
It solidified what kind of person you would be on the list.
American Monster. All new. Next on ID.
Lucas Anderson and 3 other suspects in the murder of Raveesh Kumra were staring down possible life sentences or worse, the death penalty. But Lucas's public defender soon discovered that he interacted with police at a local supermarket on the night of the Kumra murder.
Lucas is pretty highly intoxicated and he's panhandling. Lucas enters the store and passes out or basically falls down, and the clerk doesn't think that he's able to care for himself and makes a call for San Jose police to respond.
Lucas was 5 times the legal limit. He was so drunk he was taken straight to a local hospital. Records showed he was admitted at 10:45 p.m. In what turned out to be a crucial development, Lucas wasn't released until 9 o'clock the next morning.
Which covered the entire period of when the homicide could have occurred. They held him overnight, was the night of the homicide. They had him on 10-minute bed checks the entire night.
But Lucas's DNA under Raveesh Kumra's fingernails said otherwise. It said Lucas wasn't in the hospital. It said he was in very close contact with the victim on the night he was killed.
I felt pretty strongly about DNA evidence on the victim's fingernails being solid. In my mind, it was still a possibility that there's something wrong with the hospital records, that maybe they had the wrong guy. Maybe somebody thought that was Lucas and it wasn't Lucas.
But Lucas was identified definitively by numerous hospital workers, the man in the hospital the night of the murder. Now,
yeah, he had nothing to do with it, man.
Forensics lab.
The first thought that everyone had was that it had to be lab contamination, right? Because that's something that happens. The DNA in one case.
That's something that happens a lot. Lab contamination.
Evidence of another case, but they didn't find any evidence of contamination.
Lucas Anderson appeared to be.
That's how it frees innocent people. Lab contamination is how it frees innocent people.
Was determined to figure out how this happened.
I never wanted to say anybody that was innocent to jail. And this is somebody that I might be sending to jail for life.
Lunsford worried he'd never get to the bottom of this very strange case. But then he came upon a routine set of hospital admission reports submitted from the night of the Kumra murder.
And I'm looking at the names of the paramedics, and one of them it's not a common name. And I looked at it and I go, that looks really familiar. And I thought, it can't be.
One probable answer to the mystery was shockingly simple. The paramedics from both the Kumra murder and Lucas's hospitalization were the same men. A few hours after they got Lucas to the hospital, they responded to the Kumra murder. Could this connection explain how Lucas Anderson's DNA was found under Raveesh Kumra's fingernails? Cynthia Kale conducted the first study in the U.S. on the phenomenon of secondary DNA transfer.
With direct transfer, there's either you directly touch the object and your DNA is left behind, or you cough, sneeze, you're speaking, and you say, there's nothing between you and that surface. With secondary transfer, there's kind of a vector that is in between. So it could be another person, it could be an object.
With modern DNA technology, minuscule amounts of what's called touch DNA can be lifted or transferred from almost any surface.
The studies have shown that initial brief contact is when that transfer is going to occur, and it's not necessarily how long that contact is going to increase transfer. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in that initial touch.
And this analysis provided a plausible reason for how Lucas Anderson appeared to be in two places at the same time. When Lucas was taken to the hospital, paramedics placed on his finger what's known as a pulse oximeter, a simple plastic device used to check a victim's heart rate and blood oxygen level. Just a few hours later, that same team of paramedics appears to have used the same pulse oximeter on Raveesh Kumra, possibly creating the secondary transfer that put Lucas Anderson's DNA under Raveesh's fingernails.
Those pulsometers, they have a non-porous surface. They're gonna, that DNA is just gonna sit on there.
With this information, Lucas Anderson, a man who had been given few breaks in his life, was free. All thanks to some dogged work from his legal team and local police.
He was very well aware that he really dodged a bullet with regards to everything being done up front. And so he was always grateful and appreciative. He's always full of thank yous.
The law now turned to the people still charged in Raveesh Kumra's murder. Katrina Fritz, Raveesh's subsidized mistress of a dozen years, admitted making it known that Raveesh kept a lot of valuables in his unlocked house and even gave her brother a map of the inside layout. She struck a plea deal and spent only 4 years in prison. Javier Garcia got 37 years to life. DeAngelo Austin was given life without parole. A third man, Marcellous Drummer, was linked to the crime through DNA later found at the scene. He also got life without parole. Investigators say there's a moral to this story, a moral that saved Lucas Anderson and perhaps many others from being unjustly convicted.
The only DNA, then I would be wary of using that as your only evidence when we go into court as a DNA analyst and as an expert. What we say, the jury is going to believe. So had he not had that alibi, I think he would be in jail right now or sitting on death row.
He probably would.
The presumption of innocence means something. It needs to mean something. And there's a reason why we start there. And that includes with science. That science doesn't change the burden. It doesn't change how cases need to be proved. Evidence, just like any other evidence. It wasn't a screw up. It was us not understanding the science and the limitations, I should say, of the science.
Exactly what it is. All right, guys, we're now about to watch American Monsters.
Did they have weapons?
Yeah. My mom was always like the nicest person, like in the room. My dad was really charismatic. He could be very charming.
There was a lot of blood, a very grotesque and gruesome scene.
We weren't dealing with just a house robbery. There was something obviously a lot more diabolical involved. And we didn't know we could put the puzzle together.
Never harmed anybody.
He was so careful and so calculated in everything that he did. That's tough. Detectives, it became almost personal.
Took care of a little business, so, we're just trying to get paid just to keep it hush.
There's no doubt in my mind that he thought he got away with this murder.
Ah, so the father did it. Well, the father killed his wife, basically. Maybe because he had an affair with another woman. And he didn't want her to find out.
Harriet Gergis and her husband Magdi are celebrating an engagement in traditional Egyptian style.
The engagement party was for my aunt Vivienne, which is my mom's youngest sister. And I was 6 years old. She was getting married to Uncle Paul. My dad's eating, and then my mom is like in the back corner. It's taking place at my grandma's house in Sacramento, California. A lot of family lived in San Jose and Fremont and kind of different areas, so they would all be able to come together to my grandparents to do different celebrations. My parents met in January of 1981 in Egypt. They both followed Coptic Orthodox, which is kind of like a strict Catholic type of thing. My dad had like some family member that knew my mom's family. So it was actually an arranged marriage. They literally were together for like about 2 weeks before they got married. So it was pretty fast. They ended up living
Pretty bad. Yeah, I know, man. Pretty bad.
And I was born in October 16, 1981.
Magdi and Harriet work hard to build a life for themselves in California.
My dad was working at Boeing, formerly McDonnell Douglas, doing electrical work on planes. Mom was working for Magnavox down in California. She was doing like electric sense. Our dad Magdi took care of the bills. He had grew up really poor, and so he was very frugal. Anything money related would create a lot of tension. When I was roughly about 2 years old, he got like really upset about my mom throwing some of the rotten apples away. He said some parts of them were still good. He actually dragged her over to the trash can to pull it out. He was just straight, like really, really cheap. He literally hit my mom basically over rotten apples. He could be really like chill and then just snap and stuff like quite a bit. But I don't think she realized it was going to escalate. And then later on, it was roughly about 3 to 4 when they had gotten into an argument, a fight, and my dad ended up grabbing her arm and ended up causing like a fracture in her arm. She wouldn't leave because cultural boundaries. My mom was really religious, so it's like for her, like it was really important to stay in a marriage. Eventually, they I think they hatched it. At these events, he would be like very friendly, charismatic, very charming.
Yeah, right. He was pretending like he was.
Promises to keep his temper in check. He and Harriet's relationship stabilizes. And by the time of her sister's engagement party in 1987, Harriet is expecting her second child. I remember my mom, she was like about to pop. He was like, he was genuinely, like helpful. Ryan was born. It was kind of happy period for a little bit. Growing up, I do remember like my dad like playing soccer with us. He showed me like how to do a lot of math stuff like division and multiplication and all that. Education was like a really high priority. He also wanted us to be financially savvy. But the boys also see a darker side to Magdi.
My dad was a really strict father. He could be like really fiery. I remember when I was younger, I got in trouble at school, and then when my dad found out about it, he just like whipped me. I don't know if he was thinking like maybe like tough love was like the answer to things, but it was more so violence and intimidation. The family wedding in 1990 was Aunt Evian's wedding, and she was marrying my Uncle Paul. This was the wedding in the Coptic Orthodox Church. My mother was in the blue dress,
It was a very joyous occasion. This seems to be Aunt Evian's wedding reception. Right now they are dancing Dubka, which is a Arabic dance. It's the traditional money dance at a wedding. The proceeds for the money dance are used to establish a good foundation for the bride and groom.
So my dad would put like money in the pouch. The image that he would want to put is not necessarily that he's like that cheap. My dad, when he was at those events, was a lot more charming. But when he was home, he was definitely about being as cheap as possible. Almost on everything I could think of. A year after Evian's wedding, Harriet is busy in the kitchen preparing a meal for a family celebration.
This was at my grandma's house in Sacramento. My earliest memory of my mom was always that she was working.
And she would do a lot of the cooking and cleaning. She was very traditional in that matter. Like traditional housewife that also works.
But my dad was taking my mom's paychecks and he put it in the bank account, which my mom didn't have access to the bank account at all. He would brainwash my mom and make it seem like they needed to save up like everything that they have and live like a very frugal life. And he would like her like an allowance.
It was really, really tight budget, like for her. She would use that basically to buy us clothes, to buy us stuff, and she had to buy her own stuff with that too. But that was something that she'd be upset about, that he's taking all her money. I think she really felt my dad loved money more than he loved her or the family.
Knowing my dad's dark side, she didn't want to have any conflicts or arguments with him.
My dad controlled everything and controlled her. She was like powerless.
You never had a conversation with that.
All right, I'll be right back, y'all. Gotta go use the restroom. All right, guys. I'm still watching American Monsters. I'm unmuted now.
Scared myself to do anything.
Where was I yesterday? Well, I was here on my phone on Instagram watching TV.
An escape from problems at
I
home.
did not feel like going live for Collision last night,
I think a
so
lot of the family
I didn't even bother.
that my dad was so repressive, and they didn't like the way that he treated her. But it was almost like, well, it's too late now.
And then like there was going to be anybody here anyway.
It was like taboo to get a divorce. She wanted him to be more affectionate towards her. She wanted him to be more caring towards her, but he just wasn't.
It ain't like anybody was going to be here.
Continues to attend family celebrations without Maggie.
So this is my grandpa's 80th birthday party. I was 16 years old, and my little brother was about 10 years old. I think my dad got to the point where he didn't even try to come down to visit anymore. It was like, whatever. Everybody was just kind of okay with him not coming in, like, ever.
During that time, my dad would be studying a lot. He ended up getting his degree in being a respiratory therapist. He got hired at Torrance Memorial Hospital, and it definitely stepped up the family with its finances. My parents were able to save up more money and eventually moved to Westminster, where they were able to purchase a larger home.
It was a brand new, like, gated community home in a nice area.
Yep.
Which is in Orange County. We basically.
I took a break from YouTube last week.
Like a nice
I didn't want to be nowhere near YouTube last week. I didn't want to be on.
High school. Ryan was going through like middle school.
Sometimes I take breaks from being on YouTube.
Kind of loosen up a little bit, but he wasn't being as harsh, and it just felt like things were like getting better for the whole family.
It's Maggie and Harriet's wedding anniversary. That evening, 22-year-old Richard picks up a message from his mom.
I had gotten this like voice message, and she was like, "Richard, like, call me up." I called her right back.
My dad had like hit my mom with.
No, I took a week off of YouTube.
Fractured her eye socket.
I took a week off of streaming content.
Quick. So I went upstairs. My dad was like lying down on the bed. I was like, "What were you thinking? What happened? Why did you hit her?" He told me, "Just stay out of it."
My brother, shortly after coming home, took my mom to the hospital.
As soon as they asked, like, "Hey, what happened?" She told them that, he punched her in the face. But after everything was done, we went back to the house, and then she was shocked that the cops were there. They ended up putting him in handcuffs and like taking him out. My dad looked pissed as he was coming down the stairs. He looked at me and he was like, "You know what? This is all because of you."
After my dad posted bail, he moved into an apartment complex that he had with his brother.
There was a restraining order put on where he couldn't come back to the house. My mom was like, "You know what? No, I can't be with him no more."
My dad was going to lose his respiratory therapist license if he got convicted for a domestic violence incident. So he was being extremely persuasive on trying to get her to drop everything, saying that he's a changed man. My mom was really torn on what to do. He had controlled all the finances in the relationship. She didn't have any sense of being like an independent woman. She was thinking that she couldn't do it on her own without him. about a couple months after my father was arrested. I was 16 years old. I remember being home with my mom. My brother was there too, and the lights had just cut out of nowhere. I thought my dad was behind the lights turning off for sure. Felt like it was just kind of like a scare tactic. You need me more than you think, type of thing.
She was really, like, fearful that he was gonna try doing something to her, that my dad was gonna retaliate. My biggest concern at that moment was financial retaliation. I was really concerned that he was gonna take everything from her and she was gonna be like having nothing. She doesn't know where in here from the money. She didn't know anything about their account. I went up to their bedroom and I went underneath the bed. There was a bunch of bank statements that showed a lot of different like accounts in various banks and different things that had a lot of money in it. And he had accounts with like $100,000 like plus in them.
Caught my mom by surprise to know that my dad was hiding money that they had all along for their whole marriage.
From
Damn.
February to September, there was a lot of preliminary court hearings.
He was hiding money that they had their whole marriage.
When she came on the stand, she laid out everything that had happened in her whole marriage, as far as like all the domestic abuse, all the verbal abuse.
She like really dug in, like not just on that one domestic violence case, but she talked a lot about other times that he's abused her, and even the financial abuse, and just a lot of different things.
My dad's reaction was definitely a surprise. I don't think he ever saw this coming at all. But he seemed like very calm and calculated. Something just strange kind of formulated in the air around him. I just didn't have a good feeling about everything.
From prom dresses to workouts and new adventures, you hope the more you give, the less they'll miss. But even if your teen was vaccinated against meningitis in the past, they may be missing vaccination for meningitis.
Someone just robbed our house. They broke in. They tied me and my mama. What happened? People like that just jumped in my house, and then they just started him. And then they kidnapped and they put me in a closet. Are they gone now? I don't know. I didn't want to stay around. They're like, don't make me have to kill you. Don't make me have to kill you. Don't make me have to kill you. Who else was inside the house? My mom was inside the house. Did they have weapons? Yeah.
On September 29th, 2004, in the early morning hours, a 911 center received a call from a frantic young man that said that there was some type of home invasion that occurred in his home. The call came from Ryan Gerges. He had fled the location and run to a neighbor's home, and that his mom potentially was still inside the home and that she was harmed.
My father was behind the murder.
That
He's the
call
one
was
that did it.
dispatched immediately, and Westminster patrol officers got on scene in less than
Telling y'all, the father was the one that did it.
When the officers reached Ryan, he still had
Between all them finances and him having her
around
money,
his arms.
him losing his
He was
license.
pretty frantic as to what he had just been through and not knowing if his mom was okay.
So the officers on scene got a team together and slowly made entry into the home.
There was blood on the banister rail leading upstairs.
When they went upstairs, one of the officers located Harriet, laying in a large pool of blood. She had multiple stab wounds on her body, and they were quickly able to determine that this was a homicide.
While officers were at the address, Ryan's older brother Richard arrives on scene. Obviously, the officers wouldn't let him in the house, and at that point, they did not tell him about his mom being deceased. Ryan and Richard were brought back to the police department. Ryan, since he had the shoelace strings and duct tape still around him, they tried to preserve that evidence. And so they put bags over his hands. Ryan was put into one interview room, and Richard was put into a different interview room.
I'm sorry to have to tell you that your mom did pass away. We're obviously going through the process of trying to everything we can to make sure we find the people that are responsible for that.
When the police let me know that my mom was murdered, I was in like disbelief. I couldn't believe what was going on. It was just too much. Why would someone take our mom from us?
Detectives interview Richard separately.
Can I tell my mom, please? Before we go on, please. I just want to say. We have a murder in there. Oh, no. Oh. Oh my God, no.
It was just like, it was like a horrible day. It was like just a horrible time, like altogether.
In interviewing Ryan very delicately, we started to really put the puzzle together as to what may have occurred there during the robbery.
I hung out with my friends, smoked, came back, and I remember pretty much turning on my music and everything, and then I fell asleep.
I walked up like the door opening. I thought it was my mom or something. I picked him up. I took him on me. And then one of them put their hands over my mouth. And they're like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. I don't say. And then I hit one of them. And then like, they both like pushed me. And then I fell over. And then they dragged me to the floor and they were like, talking me. At the same time, I'm like, no, don't kill me, don't kill me. He's like, don't say a word, don't say a word.
The guy was already starting to tape my hands and my legs. He had took off his glove and was taking off a piece of shoestring from a shoe to kind of like reinforce the tape that was already on my hands.
I put on my phone, I looked at the tape and then like behind your hands.
It threw me in the closet. It was a sliding closet door. It was cracked enough for me to see.
Why did you do that? I got up, got my phone. Were you all put on that? No, I got off the mountain. And then after that, it's like 4 or 5 good times, and then no 4 fingers started.
And I heard like someone like exit the room. I heard a car kind of just like leave. I called 911 as I got my phone and then exited the house.
Ryan was able to piece together a description of the suspects. They sort of spoke in a street jargon that they sounded kind of like, gangsters of some type.
This guy looked really, really dark. He was black. He was really, really dark. He had a beanie on. Could you give any age for him? 23 to 26. He wasn't old at all.
Did he say making an end of you?
They didn't take any on you, bro. Nothing.
How do you know that?
Because my phone was there. My iPod thing was right there. It's like, they weren't there for the money. I knew it wasn't for money or anything.
Typically, what we see in home invasion robberies is suspects will enter and they're looking for valuables and leave the scene quickly. In this case, the house was not ransacked. It did not appear that there was any obvious loss at the time.
Based on the crime scene itself, area injuries, and the way Ryan was treated, it appeared to us at that point that Harriet was definitely the motive of the attack. Ryan had described the intruders like they were from the streets, like maybe potentially a gang. It really didn't fit as to, why they would want to kill Harriet.
One of them is the father.
There was really,
and I think the other one is his brother.
We weren't dealing with just a house robbery.
I think it was their father and their father's brother that killed their mother. That's what I think. That's who the two people I think did it.
So during the process of Ryan's interview, we're asking him,
Because they did mention the father stand with his brother, you know what I'm saying? They mentioned that. So I think the father and his brother were the ones that killed their mother.
After talking to the boys, the investigators want to talk to Maggie to see where was he during this time frame, to ask him what he knew about it.
Maggie was a suspect in a domestic violence case in the Wyoming area, and the two sons were starting to provide information that Dad was the only one that really had it out for her.
Now he got somebody to help him though. Which I think was his brother. Because they talk about the way they say intruders, they're talking like it was two people breaking in. So it had to be the father and his brother. There we go. We're almost there.
I'd like to see my neck. And we're trying to do this as quick as we can.
During the course of the investigation, we knew we had to interview recently estranged husband Maggie.
Can you just kind of tell me how you found out that something was wrong? My younger son told me a little after 4 a.m. And he was horrified on the phone, crying.
He's making up shit. He's a liar. Don't listen to that shit. He's lying. His brother had something to do with it.
You're restricted for what?
During the course of the investigation, we learned that divorce was imminent, and in fact, Maggie was a suspect in a domestic violence case in the Wyoming area.
How did you feel about your wife? She's the mother of my kids. So there's a violence or politicians, or separated us. You were willing to walk away from the marriage, even though you didn't want to. Everything is fine with me. You didn't want to see me harm function with you? No. So is there any reason you could think of why someone would want to bring things to that house? Yeah, your guess is better than mine.
He kind of acted like he was sad about it, but if you really pay attention to that interview, there was no tears.
There was no remorse. He ain't showing no remorse.
Sad about the loss of his wife.
Obviously, he was the one that did
During
it.
the course of the interview, detectives really start to ramp up the questioning and ultimately asked him, hey, did you have anything to do with Harriet's death?
Did you pay anybody to do this? You? Did you pay anybody to bring into your wife's house? What kind of question is this? That's the question I have to ask. No. I would never do that. I would never have.
Lying.
Okay.
You can tell by his tone that he's lying.
How much I love her because that is
You don't love her, bro. You're a liar.
He acted like
You
he was
abused her,
offended
bro. You beat the shit
about
out
the
of her.
question and basically denied it.
You and your brother did it.
Enough about
Admit
the
it.
suspect that we felt that bringing sketch artist to get as many details as we could help the investigation.
I do remember seeing like African American male with a beanie on. They brung out like various different faces to come up with a sketch, and once the sketch was created, I was pretty confident that was it.
Westminster Police Department releases the sketch to the media.
Ryan was able to give a sketch artist a pretty good description of the who tied him up and spoke to him the most, but they got back nothing by way of anybody saying that they had seen or heard anything at all that would develop into a credible criminal case. So at that point, we had no leads.
We started to really zero in on motive, and we were really focused on Magdi. Detectives started piecing together enough information to get search warrants for the home and for banking information for Magdi Burgess. We discovered that he had up to $500,000 in assets just in investment accounts alone. Among all of that financial evidence, we find that he has a life insurance policy also on Harriet, where he stood to be the beneficiary if anything ever happened to her. Magdi came across as somebody that was very money-centric, and when we started to hear about his love of money and what he stood to lose in this domestic violence case, it started to all come together. We noticed months leading up to the homicide, Magdi had shifted money around and started to move money around accounts at a pace that was a little unusual. Almost like he was pre-planning, what can I do with these assets to either hide them or protect them?
The motive of Maggie wanting to protect his money, it could be a piece of the puzzle to show that he was involved in the murder, but that by itself, no way. You would need a lot more.
We know that the case is cold at that moment, and that's tough. It becomes almost personal at that point. We want closure for the family.
Eight years pass with no new leads for the investigators to follow.
We understood that it was a cold case, but I was convinced that my dad was the mastermind behind my mom's murder.
And I think his brother helped him out. His brother.
That his wife was murdered in. I felt that
So they did say he was staying with his brother somewhere.
He didn't even change the carpet in the bedroom. She was killed. He literally just patched it up.
As the years went by, I just became more suspicious in everything that he was the one that had something to do with it.
So the years are going by, but it's like nothing is really going on with the case. I keep bugging the detectives, constantly calling and checking. And then one day I went down to visit my little brother in Long Beach, and I was like, let's go to the police station, try talking to him.
We were informed that there was someone by the name of Detective Wilson working there, and he said that he would take a look at it and see what he could do.
I talked to the crime lab about an interview that I reviewed where Ryan had told investigators that he remembered the suspect taking off his gloves because he was having a hard time getting the shoelaces out of his tennis shoe. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, that shoelace has potential of having that suspect's DNA. I was basically hoping that they missed the DNA the first time they processed it and they were able to find it the second time.
The shoe string that was used to tie my hands It came up with a match, and it actually came up to someone that was incarcerated. It was a Pomona Crip member, a gang member by the name of Anthony Bridget.
This guy was actually locked up for another crime. The guy had like a big history of violent crime. He was intertwined with this like Pomona Crip gang that actually does murder for hire.
This level of planning is maniacal.
There it is. It's back on now.
Myself and the DA went up to prison and interviewed Anthony Bridget.
We explained to him the circumstances of the DNA, meaning it was a crime scene of a murder, and his response was, where? What city? It was chilling. It was like he was really asking which one.
It was very obvious this wasn't his first rodeo, and he didn't want to play ball. He didn't want to talk about the case at all, and he denied all involvement. I felt even stronger that Maggie probably hired Bridget to kill his wife. So, in hopes of getting some incriminating evidence of Maggie's involvement, I kind of come up with a plan. Anthony Bridget was a gang member. So I reached out to a coworker and asked him if he knew any officers that could pose undercover as members of a black gang. And they said they'd give it a shot. We determined we're going to send undercovers in to meet Maggie in front of Maggie's house in hopes of maybe getting Maggie to say something that would incriminate himself in being involved in this case. So we had a surveillance team set up around the house with a video camera.
The undercover officers wear the colors of Bridget's gang. One of them introduces himself to Maggie as D-Money.
So, let me holler at you for a few tips.
They were instructed to basically tell Maggie that the police were asking about the case and that they needed some hush money to get out of town.
Check it out, man. My homie locked up in the piano right now. We spoke to him about him killing your wife and you with times. You know what I'm saying? We don't care about it. The thing is, you're gonna get paid for it. It's $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Give me a call, man. I'm not. You call me tomorrow. $1,000. And what? I'm D-Money. Give me a call tomorrow about 10 o'clock. $5,000. Give me up tomorrow.
It was very clear he knew what they were talking about and gave him a piece of paper with their name and a phone number and told them to call them tomorrow at 10 a.m. The following day, Maggie is in Long Beach and stops at a payphone. He gets out of his car and he calls the number.
This D-Money, what's going on? You know, my boy, took care of a little business, so, we just trying to get paid just to keep it hush.
Maggie told the undercover officer that he'd already paid. To me, that's basically him confessing to hiring someone to kill his wife.
We got paid everything, but they pushing up on my boy, man. We gotta try to get some in so we can get on out of town. 5,000 ain't that much, man.
Typical to Maggie, he actually negotiated the $5,000 with the undercover officer.
Man, what I'm gonna do with 1,500, man? I'm trying to get out of town, man. All right, you gonna bring 1,500? All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
They made arrangements to meet at Home Depot the following day in Long Beach. I provided that information to our DA, and we were both in agreement we were going to let this operation play out.
All right, they're parked, meeting with Target right now. Target's still in the car.
I was watching it live from across the street because I was kind of coordinating on how everything was going to go down.
What's happening? Did you bring me a check? Yeah. Cash. That's 15. This shit gonna be over. You ain't gonna see us no more, man. All right. I'm gonna get some more looking from the window over there, so be good. Oh, it's all good. Ooh.
He's driving right now.
And Long Beach is taking the takedown. Long Beach is doing the takedown.
Magdi is arrested
Got him.
and charged with the first.
He thought he was stupid, thought he was going to get away.
It's very important that the jury understood this.
Oh, man. He thought he was going to get away. Damn.
And evidence to show that Maggie didn't want to give Harriet half of his money. If they would have got divorced, he would have had to do. So that was his motive for having Harriet killed.
Magdi orchestrated the murder of Harriet. He hired one or more people to be involved in her murder. They tied up and brutalized his son and tried to make it look like some type of home invasion.
I think Magdi thought he was smarter than everybody else.
Obviously
There's
not.
no doubt in my mind that Magdi thought he got away with this murder.
Look at that. Stop roll.
My mom was always like the person, like in the room. Her standing up for what's right, standing up for our family, standing up for her values, standing up for women in general. I think that's what keeps me and Richard going.
That's what I do. Stand up for women on Instagram.
See how close.
OnlyFans and Live Jasmine. That's what I fucking do.
I feel like spiritually she's there with us.
I help and support women on
she was saying
Instagram,
my-
OnlyFans and Live Jasmine.
I'm thankful that she was my mom.
All right, guys. Now, last but not least, now we're going to be watching an episode of Signs of a Psychopath. Here we go.
County sheriffs tell us when they arrived to investigate an identity theft Friday, they instead discovered evidence of two murders. They say they found mutilated corpses.
All the pigs were there.
Oh.
Yeah, they're licking his hand. Thinking they need something to eat. They'll always need something to eat.
That man is sick. Oh, by the way, this is Signs of a Psychopath, episode 21, season 5. Man said he needed something to eat. Oh, so you want to eat? You mean tell me you want to eat animal? What the fuck? Who does that? Who eats their own fucking animals, dude? What the fuck? That is some weird pedophiling, sicking dumb shit. That is some dumb shit. I ain't even lying.
January 10th, 2014. What is it? 8:26 a.m. And at the property search warrant.
Harry's last address was Monica's remote farm.
That appears to be possibly human. Appears to be an ankle, foot, knee joint.
Glad they cover that up. I don't want to see all that. They find something shocking. It says.
That appears to be possibly.
He said possibly. He was probably shaken by what he found.
Knee joint. Pieces of other bone.
How long have you had all those pigs? More than 10 years. Yeah, how long do they live? Depends on where you butcher. Where do you butcher your pigs at? Right there in the barn. Oh, you know how to do it? I know how to kill them, and I don't necessarily butcher. I'm kind of a butcher when it comes to butchering. Okay. Not good at you do it. Yeah. How do you kill a pig?
Bro, why would you ask a suspect that?
I'm not a good shot.
Come on.
She had turned 50 feet away, and I shoot it, and go, jump up in the air, and then run away, and I shoot it again. And one turkey I had to shoot 4 times, and it was
This guy.
before I actually killed the damn things.
And the sheriff is fucking laughing, man. I hope he's pretending like he's laughing and not actually laughing at it. Shit is not even funny, dude.
Glib, superficial.
Shit sounds sickening and disturbing.
She's using humor and she's laughing about killing animals. She's laughing about butchering animals. She's laughing about the fact that she's not a good shot. And there's no real indication at this point that she is connected to or in touch with why she's actually in that interrogation room. There's a missing person who she had employed at some point. This missing person was living on her property as a tenant.
Now, the other thing that I was kind of interested in, Susan, is here's a person that came to your house and is now clearly missing. You haven't seen him for a while.
He had been gone over a month.
Okay.
Why didn't you call? I didn't think it was my responsibility to call.
Susan Monica's demeanor shows that she's not taking any responsibility for the fact that she was the landlord. She was the employer for this person, and yet she says it wasn't my responsibility to call the police. It essentially is raising red flags. The idea that somebody could be missing, who you have regular contact with, and she refuses to do anything and says it wasn't even my responsibility to, it's extremely callous.
It sure is.
On a lake right next to your place.
She's right about that. Who is this woman anyway? She's pretty. This woman that was shown on my screen. Brianna Fox is her name. What a beautiful woman.
It essentially is raising red flags. The idea that somebody could be missing, who you have regular contact with, and she refuses to do anything and says it wasn't even my responsibility to, it's extremely callous.
A lake right next to your place. A lake? A human lake next to your place. I think it might be Robert. No. Who could it be?
why did? Well, certainly if I found a leg by my house, I'd be freaked out. Well, I'm not freaked out. But I'm, fairly surprised. Yeah, no, I've heard of pigs eating people all the time. I've joked about it. I have a weird sense of humor. If you
Yeah, this guy is a
in the
weirdo.
pig, I would say.
Sicko and a weirdo at the same time.
Susan Monica's outward emotional expression is really completely flat. They just told her, we found a leg on your property, to which she responds, a leg? And she states, well, no, I'm not freaking out. Then it's almost like she's searching for the right words. Like, what is it they want to hear from her? And she lands on, fairly surprised.
If my pigs did eat Robert, would you kill my pigs? Well, I don't know. Susan, why don't you just start at the beginning? I couldn't understand after all this time, if you don't hear from your father for a month, and prior to that month you heard from him twice a week, why didn't somebody do something earlier? So what do you think happened to Robert? Sometime about a week after Bobby had called, I went down, and he was like half eaten. He was like what? By the pigs. He was like half eaten by the pigs. It was early in the morning.
He's lying.
I saw what had happened. His guts were all over the place. He was still alive.
He's lying. He killed them. He killed the two humans, man. He killed them. This guy's delusional. Everything he's saying is all lies. Straight from the beginning. I can easily see through his lies, man. Not stupid. That's like saying I could have fucking. That's like saying I stepped on my foot and I gave my and the rock gave my foot a cut. That's like saying I scratched my fucking hand.
Hospital and live. I knew he wasn't going to be alive for more than, a few more minutes. I went back up to my house and I got a gun and shot him in the head. I was afraid if I had called you people.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You think shooting animals in here is a good thing? No, it's not. It's a bad thing.
I yelled at the pigs, and they were doing their thing. They're just, having lunch or breakfast. They were having breakfast on him. There was no way he was going to get to the hospital and live. I knew he wasn't going to be alive for more than, a few more minutes. I went back up to my house and I got a gun and shot him in the head. I was afraid if I called you people, you were going to come out and shoot my pigs.
One common misperception is that psychopaths have no emotion. That's not the case. Psychopaths sometimes will show.
He's making up stories, man. I can tell. I can easily tell he's making everything
If you
up.
don't matter to them, they show no emotion to you. In this case, Susan Monica cared a lot about her pigs. And that's what she showed emotion to. Even when she saw the pigs eating him alive, she cared about the pigs, not him.
Has she ever killed a person before this?
No. While I was in the Navy, we took the boat up into Vietnam. If I saw something suspicious, I would throw a hand grenade at it. But I've never, at that time when I was, at 4 or whatever, more sense than even thought about shooting anyone.
So you value human life, right? It sounds like you have an understanding.
No, I don't. No, I should not be saying that I'm trying to tell the truth. I do not value human life very much. My feeling is the only thing wrong with this planet is there's people on it. If it weren't for us, all the other animals, dodo birds and whatever else would still be here.
What we know about Susan Monica is she was born Stephen Buchanan. She served in the Navy for a brief period of time, was actually deployed to the Vietnam War. And after serving in the military and being in combat, when she discharged from the military as a man, as Stephen Buchanan, she began to live her life as a woman.
Ooh.
I find myself wondering if that's part of what led Susan to live this very isolated existence.
I didn't want to look.
And why maybe she did not.
I did not
was
want to
better able to relate to her pigs, because the pigs wouldn't have judged her. The pigs wouldn't have rejected her. Susan Monica may actually have found more peace and acceptance with this family of pigs that she raised than with.
I didn't want to look. Sorry, I didn't want to see her face.
Why didn't you just shoot the pigs and make them stop eating Robert?
I didn't want to shoot my pigs. And
why? They're just
Big
pigs.
mistake.
He's a person. Did you not care for him?
I did not care for him.
Susan Monica seems to care much more about animals, pigs in particular, that she can control. They don't talk back to her. It's a very one-sided relationship, really. They do what she wants. And so individuals with psychopathy prefer relationships where they can dominate and exert control, whether it's with human beings or, in this case, with animals.
Every square inch of your property is when you search.
Just like Robert, it doesn't make sense. There is something else that I don't want to say that's just as bad. I'll give you another piece of paper. Right there. About 3 feet down, there's part of another body.
This guy is sick, man. This transgender person is sick. Why would you even think about doing something like that? Wow, man. Wow.
His name is Steve.
They link a guy named Steve to his property.
That's him.
She says she hired Steve to do odd jobs. He said one of her guns went missing.
And I confronted him on the guns that were missing. He got physical with me, and I told him that I'm pretty sure it was him that stole my rifle. He got all upset, and I had a little 22 pistol. He went ahead and grabbed it, and he said that he doesn't want to go back to jail, and he decided he was going to kill himself. So he shot himself in the head. He emptied the gun, fired all 5 shots.
I've never heard of somebody shooting themselves.
No, that's a make believe. He made that story up.
And it's 5 shots for my head.
Susan thinks she can tell that story to police, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's
The police ain't buying it.
5 times.
Police ain't buying it. You can't shoot yourself 5 times. No way. You just can't do
She
that.
didn't have an answer for why she killed him prepared, which shows her grandiosity. She never thought she was going to get caught.
You can't do that.
Basically, I did the same thing. Which, like I say, it doesn't make any damn sense at all.
It really doesn't. No, it doesn't make sense that you said. It doesn't make sense that you said that he killed himself. He shot himself 5 times. That doesn't make sense. That is what don't make sense. The fact that you said, the fact that this person said that he shot himself 5 times. That's a fucking lie.
And things are not as organized in how it
What a
comes out.
pathetic liar this person is, man. No question about it. No shit. This person's lying.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Yeah, we know you are.
I don't know how it started. I had been joking about feeding people to pigs for a long time. He was in the area of the pigs, and I had absolutely no idea what the hell to do. And a couple hours later,
Sure you did.
the pigs had come in.
You knew.
That one door, and they were doing their thing.
You fucking knew. Come on, man.
And when this happened the second time, I could not believe it. I've got my pigs out here devouring somebody on my property. This is impossible. So I left him for a couple of days, and I picked up what I thought was all of him and put him in a couple of plastic bags. I'm gonna handcuff you. Oh, man.
She wants to talk again the next day when they find Stephen's remains.
After me and Steve have put so much into it. There's 2 dead people on your property. Are we not supposed to look for more? You expect me to believe there's no one else there? You're saying that for the last 15 years I've been killing people? I'm saying that I certainly do not want to go to jail for any of this.
Classic psychopathic.
But you deserve to go to jail for it.
Any responsibility, even after saying essentially, yes, I did kill them, but I don't want to go to jail for it. I don't want to serve punishment or have any comeuppance for this. Well, of course not. These psychopaths never think they should be held responsible.
If you killed somebody and put them somewhere besides your property, would you tell me?
Of course not. If I tell you where the 17 bodies out there, I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life.
I have to report a murder.
Wait, what did he say?
I'm going to be in jail for the rest. If I tell you where the 17 bodies out there,
There's more bodies out there? What the fuck? Oh, man, I gotta go get a drink after this. I'll be right back, y'all. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break. I need a drink after this. This guy's sick, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Your watch along for Signs of a Psychopath continues. We got one more episode of Signs of a Psychopath to watch, which happens to be episode 22, I believe. Yeah, which happens to be 22. Right now it's 21. So after we watch this, we'll be watching episode 22. This Monica person is this Monica transgender person is a fucking, I'm not talking about Monica from Instagram. I'm talking about Monica on TV. That Monica. That Monica on TV. The Monica that was being interviewed by police. Not the Monica on Instagram. It's not who you think I'm talking about. Thought I'd get that out there. Anyhow, man, the watch along continues. I'm going to finish watching this episode so we can get into watching 22. What was disturbing most to me is that he said there are 17 more bodies buried in the ground. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in jail. Well, if they find those bodies on the ground, if they find 17 fucking bodies buried underground, you are going to go to jail for the rest of your fucking life. Clearly, this guy's got an IQ of a fucking retarded pencil written all over his fucking head. He's a psychopath. Really. Just admit you're going to go to jail for the rest of your fucking life, okay? Jesus Christ, man. People are so dumb sometimes. People are so dumb sometimes, man.
You can have it all.
The will states that Mr. Marbles will receive everything he needs in perpetuity thanks to auto ship from Chewy.
Yeah. Who asked for this commercial to be on my fucking screen? Nobody. Bye-bye. Chewy, my ass. My mom used to work there. She quit because they were treating her like a fucking slave. I'm smiling because I know my shit. I ain't stupid. That's what she told me. Now she fucking quit it.
There's already two bodies.
I know that. When you go out and dig up a whole bunch of holes, I want you to cover up the holes.
What?
I don't want my property, which I've spent the last 20 years cleaning up, to look like a B-52 went over it.
Of all the requests that she could make, she's concerned about holes being filled up on her property, and 99% of the world does not ever have a dead body on their property, and Susan Monica has two. And she's shown no concern for that. She's shown more concern for her pigs, but she's shown the most concern for holes being filled up.
So, let me get this straight. You said you don't want to spend the rest of your life in prison, having 17 bodies buried underground, right? Isn't that not what she said in the interview, though, earlier? Or am I just hearing shit? This says 4 days later, detectives interviewed a witness who worked on Monica's property. Ooh, I can't wait to hear what this guy has to fucking say. Goodness.
She gave me a job. I had nowhere else to go. And she was pretty nice to me. And then all of a sudden, she turned not very nice.
So tell me about Robert.
He always told me, He always told me, every day, I hope my kids can get my stuff, because I think she's going to kill me.
You mentioned an incident to us where Susan held you both into the pig area. Tell me about that.
She just lifted me up and held me over the pig for me. Because I was looking at her pigs, and she knows I'm scared of them. I'm scared of them.
Right.
I would never get in there. But anyway, I was looking and she held me over and then she told me, I would like to see how fast my pigs could get rid of a human body.
Bro, that's a sick motherfucker.
Individuals with psychopathic traits sometimes also have sadistic.
Who says something like that?
With the
what the fuck? The fuck am I watching, man?
As he's telling the story, you think back to also some of the details about the crimes, where she also watched the pigs have breakfast, as she described it, and all of those behaviors are certainly sadistic in nature.
I'm not some fat slob. I mean, don't get wrong. I mean, what am I watching, dude? Really? Oh, guess what? It says since her interview, Monica has lost weight. She dons a wig and dresses for the. Wait. She tried to make herself look different because she know what she did was wrong. So she trying to cast herself as this fucking victim. No, honey. You're not the victim. Fucking suspect. That's what you are. Nah. Sorry. Not buying that. Not buying it. Try to dress to make yourself not look like that evil Monica that you were when you were interviewed by cops. Yeah. Good try. I ain't stupid. If the judge, if I ain't stupid, the police ain't stupid, and the judge damn sure ain't stupid.
The accused serial killer had pushed Judge Timothy Barnack to allow her to cross-examine witnesses.
Her appearance changed, but not her priorities. It's
Cross-examine witnesses.
What did you do, my father? You hear that? I agree. What did you do, my father? You hear that? I agree.
He said, I don't want to hear that out of you again. She received a sentence of maximum of 50 years in prison.
Brain of mine has got this weird, funny thing. And for the last 5 or 10 years, I'm joking about something, whether it's feeding somebody to piss or, you know.
You even said that to me. You said you were going to kill me. I'm a police officer. I was like, whoa. Did she really just say that?
It's not funny, but the joke became reality.
Thank God no other body's been found, man. I mean, God. Nobody deserves to die, man. I mean, come on.
Talk to me. Listen. There's something inside that bothers me.
I am scared that I don't know what he did. I don't know what he could have done.
Murder is gunned down out of nowhere today on
guy is crying.
Stop. Try.
This guy then told himself, stop crying 3 times.
I'm alive. I don't think it was wrong.
Thing inside of me. It's like, yeah, take a little fix.
It's titled, He Didn't Know I Was There. A gunman shoots a dead man on the road. This is episode 22.
Going into the interview, the detectives might have been wondering, given the way that Brett Morrison was killed, was this a personal vendetta? Was this some revenge that he was trying to get against a specific target? Or was it just completely at random? If so, what's the reason for that?
First off, I want to take John is fine. Is he in trouble? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. You were just telling what's going on. Just on the Sunday, he's supposed to be graduated with he's in the air now by his physical. He mentioned that there's been any disagreement, altercation with anybody? No. As far as I know, he hasn't been here. Do you know anyone by the name of Brent Morrison? Have you ever heard that name? No.
The victim was Brent Morrison, a 44-year-old professional. He was an avid runner. What his wife confirms is that Selesky doesn't really have any friends or a social routine in town, and so it helps detectives to realize that there really is even less of a nexus to the victim, and it appears that this may have been a crime of a complete stranger.
Seen Chinese shorties, something like that. And they're gonna do all that thing as a lately I'm not really been happy. Like, I don't know. So we had a second session with the counselor. Any other issues you start to address a little bit? No, really, you just think of that. That would be about the only issue. And whether or not I can think of it, I guess. Going to the gym, he says generalize. He works out over there. And does he jog? Sometimes.
The marriage is failing. His wife doesn't know what's going on with him. He's very introverted. It sounds like this is not a connected relationship, and that he's critical of his wife's appearance, that he is very focused on his own appearance. She says he's at the gym all the time, and he's commenting about her being fat. Speaks to some perspective that maybe this is where we begin to see some of the narcissism in Selesky, that he has an idea of what people should be, and that most people don't live up to that standard.
Now, am I have to do and does he get different from today, or do I have to wait? There's been a homicide this morning. And it was out in the area of the nature center.
Why would you kill someone you didn't know? And why would you kill him so cold-bloodedly? And one possibility that comes to mind is this is a man who's completely repressed. He is sort of tightly coiled up, and he doesn't express himself. She's just overwhelmed by the whole situation, but her reaction is also still at the same time somewhat deflated and restrained. And that restrained reaction makes me wonder if there is more going on. She's had concerns, but dismissed them. And now when you look at those concerns overlaid on this crime, she has some things she's starting to put together. Ultimately, for any spouse, this would be a nightmare situation.
You want something to drink?
talk to you about what happened after that. Yeah. Tell me what happened. All the way up until we come up to they wake up and I like at heart, like right where the car was. I just got there. Yeah, I saw like that. And I heard it come out of a deer or something. I got closer. I was literally just about getting out. My government shot him up. I asked him if I knew him or if I could come to him. I said no. He said, let's check it out. He was moving. So he called police and first responders came by and that's pretty much it.
Selesky's ability to stay calm and to stay in control of his narrative is somewhat striking. He knows he's committed this crime. He knows he's given authorities permission to search his vehicle, and they found the firearm. He seems to just be going about business as usual. He wants to preserve the story that he's telling authorities. And that quality is more consistent with what we see in psychopathic individuals. There's a shallowness to their affect or emotions. There's a lack of willingness to take responsibility for what they've done. There's generally a cool and calm about how they handle stress. And it's their own narcissism to some degree. They believe and confidently feel they can pull this off.
Well, we talked to some people that pretty much live out there. We meet people on the runners. And I mean, if they're not home sleeping, eating their own street food. They saw you out there. I ain't shooting that.
Man, he lied like hell. He said he didn't shoot that man. No, he is lying, man. Bullshit. I don't believe that guy 1 second. I don't believe that guy for a solitary second. Can't believe he said that. Really, man? They know you did it. He's gonna continue to tell lies. Watch. Typical. That's what suspects fucking do. Cover up their fucking crimes by telling lies and shit. Blaming it on somebody else when they need to be blaming it on themselves.
I know that's not a good thing. I was on the street. I didn't want to tell you because that against the law here.
He's on his sinking ship, and he doesn't really know how to create a good story. So he comes up with a terrible story. He's, trying to figure out how to get out of this mess.
So, yes, they searched his car, they found the bullets, and the best story that he can come up with is that he was trying to shoot a squirrel. Maybe he thinks he's so smart, and these detectives are so dumb. They couldn't possibly put 2 and 2 together.
Even this one said he's dumb.
They manipulate, they lie, and they do what they need to get out of the responsibility of whatever it is that they've done.
Exactly.
Listen, we're still leaving out a few things because, like I said, we're pretty good at it. We're really good at it.
Even this woman didn't believe everything he was saying. I'm not the only one that didn't believe everything he was saying.
You knew you weren't supposed to have a gun out there. Secondly, I can tell you this. That gun was fired from inside that vehicle. Thirdly, now we've got someone that's lost their life with that gun. Do we need to continue? We need to know. We don't need no more of the BS story. This is your opportunity to take the full.
What's interesting is Selesky's body language shifts at this point in the interview. And now he starts nodding in agreement with the detective in the affirmative. As in, the detective is saying, I don't believe this BS story, and he's nodding yes. In other words, I agree with you, this is BS.
The detective said, you have a chance to take the floor now. He's feeding into Celeste's narcissism and grandiosity, basically, and saying, here, you lead. It's like the detectives are baiting him, and he's taking it.
Did you know it? Did you have words?
He's lying. What the fuck? This dude's lying. My eyes is burning. Ow. Yeah, you did.
Once he has taken the stage, he literally takes the stage. He pours on the theatrics. So now we see these shallow tears. We see him acting like he's overcome with emotion at certain parts of this, that he can't even tell the story. Individuals with psychopathy tend to have a callousness and a shallow affect, meaning they know what to say or how to act, but it's not necessarily genuine.
Sure they do.
He's saying what he thinks they want to hear. He's acting upset.
You hear that, folks?
If he's even upset that an innocent man was shot, or if he's really just upset that he's caught.
You hear that?
And everybody leans toward the latter.
Here he does. We know you fucking lying. You're covering it up. You're not telling detectives the fucking truth. You're a fucking liar, dude. You fucking shot him with the sniper gun, and you know it, man.
Ultimately, it just doesn't hold true that this is someone who would switch.
Stop telling those big fat lies, bro. If you did it, you did it. Damn. Just fucking admit it.
Somebody, in order to either gain sympathy from the people who are interrogating them, or to start to lay the foundation for some kind of an insanity defense, might make a claim of suicidal ideation.
Oh, it's self-defense. No, it wasn't. Don't even want to fucking hear it.
Nothing other than another tactic.
I don't want anybody commenting negative, anything negative in the live chat. I don't want to hear it. It was no, they know damn well it was no self-defense. It was a homicide. It was intentional. It was planned. It was his intent to do that. Probably did that to scare his fucking wife. I don't know. I mean, his wife was interviewed. Was she not? Or is it me? Am I guessing? Or am I correct here? I mean, the fuck, bro? Really? One thing that is not correct is his fucking truths. One thing is that is not correct is his fucking story. That is the one thing that's not right. His story. One thing that is correct is that the detectives know that he did it, and he used that sniper gun to shoot that guy, and he shot him intentionally. It was planned. It wasn't staged.
Shot him the first time. He turned around real quickly and said, ow. Like, it was something like big or something. All he said was, ow.
We start to see the callousness with which Celeste
Guy is telling a fucking lie.
He's talking about the victim's reaction after being hit the first time with this firearm. And this
How can a victim react when they
it
get
almost
hit?
seems like Selesky's offended by the fact that the victim didn't give him a more spectacular reaction. That all he did was out, as if it was a bee sting or a bug bite.
How many times did you shoot? I don't know. I don't know. I lost count. Shooting front, back, side. He was running away from me. I shot him in the back, and then he turned around and I shot him again and again.
Selesky shot the victim.
It's burning, man.
It's
my eyelashes.
Excess violence that he was getting a thrill out of what he did. There was no reason to continue to shoot this innocent individual who never
Exactly.
didn't even see.
Exactly my fucking point.
You have to just think that not only was he on an
God,
high
man,
and
somebody's saying
but
something.
he wanted to be absolutely certain he hit his target.
At that point in time, what compelled you to shoot? I don't know.
How you not gonna know? God. I just want to end this live stream so bad. Like, I'm just done.
Let me ask you this. Be honest. Are you and Alyssa still living together?
Guy is more fucking dumber than a fucking NBA. Oh.
He's losing control of his finances. He's losing control of his marriage. And rather than react in a way a healthy individual might by taking steps to improve those problems, he decides to go the extreme and he reacts in rage toward an innocent victim.
Yeah, this anger out on that guy. Because maybe it wasn't just what it was just the whole world. 2 weeks ago, like leading up to this, I we had thoughts about this. Yeah. Like, just thinking, man, maybe this is like,
Bro, he's fake crying. He's not even really crying. He's putting on a fucking act.
Selesky's decision to shoot and kill the victim speaks to how he sees people. They're objects, they're replaceable, they're substitutable. It's no different than a
He's putting on an act, man.
Line up soda cans or beer cans on a wall and engage in target practice. That's what he wanted in that moment, and that's what he decided to give himself.
Did you ever leave the area?
What did she say?
No matter or something.
Selesky's decision to shoot and kill the victim speaks to how he sees people. They're objects, they're replaceable, they're substitutable. It's no different than a person choosing to line up soda cans or beer cans on a wall and engage in target practice. That's what he wanted in that moment, and that's what he decided to give himself.
Did you ever leave the area? First left there. Yeah, and then the guy called about this. Looked for first aid. I thought we had a first aid kit in the truck. But I went and did go back to my truck, my first aid kit. If I was there, I don't know. Were you actually going to get finished the first aid kit if you needed it? Just for show. Yeah. No, I water it up.
He shot this
Guy was clearly putting on an act.
He's claiming, very theatrically so, way that he wanted to help him with a first aid kit. It just doesn't mesh together. Using what
It
he
doesn't
knows
make sense.
to try to manipulate the detectives even more. He knows he should be upset by this. That's the right response, to be crying and to say you wanted to help someone.
How long had you been sitting in the car before you fired the first shot? I don't know. I so hard. There's no for a while. Go over that. You definitely know that.
Let's go.
Bro, what in fuck? I ain't gonna lie, some of these Signs of a Psychopath episodes are fucking weird to watch. Weird, disturbing, and dumb to watch sometimes. Now, American Monsters and Forensic Files, two different stories. Because all we watch is people being interviewed. You know?
I actually keep that sexy without I don't know. Like, you already passed your code, you without passing you roll the window. Just down there. Pretty upset, you're angry this time.
It feels like there's an internal conflict. He's been thinking of hurting someone because he's so angry at himself and the world. Both of these things kind of meshing with each other, and he snaps. And so there's a suspension at the moment of the feelings that make us human, that make us be angry but not kill, that make us, understand what the taking of a life is. And so in that moment, the suspension of these feelings led him to act in ways that were really psychopathic.
I'm just really bad myself and how my life turned out. I had just begun before you find that job. You're done. Okay. We'll be right back.
It's possible he is trying to rein himself back in from the theatrical show that he just put on, and he's trying to calm himself back down. It looks as if he's looking up at the camera at one point, intentionally, and thinking, I'm going to look a certain way, I'm going to present myself a certain way here while the cameras are rolling and no one else is in here. And maybe this will be helpful later on down the line.
How many times do we all wake up every single day, we go about our normal routine, and we have no thought that we're not coming home that day? You're just out there running on a Saturday morning, probably before you do laundry, you go get your groceries, you meet friends for lunch or dinner. That is what the victim's life was, and that morning he never made it home. You don't see it coming. We don't expect to run into a John Selesky.
What did she say that made you so mad?
It's almost like a bear out there. Because my requirement. I don't remember shooting. I remember hearing recall. That's a terrible.
Well, that's it, folks. I don't know what's wrong with my nose tonight. I don't know what's wrong with my eyes. There's always something wrong with my eyes. I mean, to my full YouTube schedule this week, gonna be streaming a bunch of games, and I'm gonna be live my Dynamite SmackDown Collision watch alongs as usual. I might be live. I don't know if I want to be live for the Monday Night Raw watch along, and I'm not. The reason why I'm not watching Monday Night Raw and NXT because Vince McMahon's running those shows. Triple H runs SmackDown. I know it is. But I'm gonna get out of here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And by the way, tomorrow, my new channel art, my new YouTube channel art banner, and my YouTube profile pictures are both going to be posted on YouTube tomorrow. I might be streaming. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be streaming a game tomorrow night. I don't know what it's going to be, though. But y'all see what it's going to be. Y'all will see. But anyways, y'all stay safe always. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later.